Welcome back to the Tip of the Iceberg podcast, brought to you as always by InsideThePenguins.com. We're going to take a detour from the road to hell really quickly to talk a little bit in this segment about Celebrate 68 weekend. The Penguins are set to honor Jaromir Jagr this weekend and retire his number 68 to the rafters, joining Mario Lemieux's 66 and Michel Briere's 21 as the only three numbers to be retired in the 50-plus year history of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Jaromir Jagr with the Penguins currently ranks fifth in the history of the organization in games played with 806, fourth in goals with 439, fourth in points with 1,079, third in game-winning goals with 78. And when he was with the Penguins, he won the Art Ross Trophy 5 times for the leading point scorer in the NHL. He's a 2-time Lester B. Pearson Award winner with the Penguins, and he was the 1998-99 Hart Trophy winner for the league's MVP. Then you look to NHL history. Fourth in games played, fourth in goals, second all-time in points, and he leads NHL history in game-winning goals for the time being, with Alex Ovechkin breathing down his neck right now, but has 135 game-winning goals as of right now, still the king of GWGs in the National Hockey League history. He also tacked on another Lester B. Pearson Award and a Masterton Trophy in 2015-16. So certainly his resume precedes him, but I wanted to lay that out there to begin with. Sunday's festivities are certainly going to be memorable. There's a lot of things to be negative about surrounding this team right now, but Sunday afternoon at 4:15, which is when the Penguins are encouraging you to be in your seats by, it's going to be nothing but celebration.
Yes.
For the Penguins, for one of their legends, as he returns home after the story is vastly more than just what he did on the ice, what he did to keep the Penguins in Pittsburgh, what he did after that, and the story between him and Pittsburgh becoming a rivalry, mending those fences. Obviously, there's several stories out in The Athletic by Josh Yohe and Rob Rossi who have done a tremendous job. There's stories out by a lot of the people in the media in Pittsburgh that have done a great job this week. I encourage you to read all of them. They're all great. But Sunday's festivities, they're set to be memorable. Teammates from the 1991-92 Cup team are set to be in attendance. Paul Steigerwald is emceeing the events and the festivities, as we all know from watching Pittsburgh is home. Paul Steigerwald was around early when Jaromir Jagr came over, took him over to Ross Park Mall to get a Canadian tuxedo, which he loved. But doors open at 3:30 or 3 o'clock, on Sunday, and Penguins encouraging you to be in your seats by 4:15. Should be a special evening.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be just an absolute bright moment. Just so much. It's going, like I said, it's going to be fun. There's going to be laughs, tears, all of the things, all of the emotions. Expecting quite a few names from, like you mentioned, those 91-92 teams, maybe even some later teams to file in. Don't forget also that for a little bit of a time there, Jaromir Jagr was the captain of this Penguins team. He captained this team to some big moments without Mario Lemieux around. And it's any time that you discuss the Penguins history with anyone of the generation above us, they always fall back to Jaromir Jagr being their guy. Just Jagr. Like, Lemieux was great, yes, and people understand the legend that is Mario Lemieux on and off the ice, in the ownership box, all of that. But there was and for everyone, it seems there was something about Jagr as a player and as a person that made them fall in love with the sport, made them fall in love with the guy, and just this is more than deserving. And you're right, the story stems beyond, even his first. The story stems beyond his tenure in Pittsburgh too.
Oh yeah.
Let's not forget the no choice but to trade him to Washington for pennies. No choice but to see him go and finish. Whenever you said he only had one Hart Trophy, I forgot he finished second whenever he was with the Rangers. I thought he won one there. That's how good he was with New York. And then to, then to head to Russia, and then, hey, maybe the Penguins are getting him back. Maybe the Penguins are getting him back. And then, boom, rivalry starts.
Yeah.
You got every story imaginable that you would get from family. That's the way the Penguins should look at Jagr. There's the love. There was some time of hatred there. There has been fences mended. There has been now an appropriate, not finish to the relationship between Jagr and the Penguins, but an appropriate exclamation points.
Mm-hmm.
An appropriate, here's the thing you've always deserved. We're happy to have you around whenever.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait to see who's going to be there. I know
Yeah.
that these ceremonies are always special. Like you mentioned, I think we already know there's going to be the broadcasters, as in Caulfield, Trottier,
Borky.
Kevin Stevens is going to be in town for whatever's going on at Rivers Casino.
Friday night's panel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From there, it'll be interesting to see who shows up. I've got some fun ideas, and I'll tell you what, there's going to be a lot of questions about Mario Lemieux still, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we obviously would expect Jaromir Jagr to address the crowd or address the fans on Sunday before his number goes up into the rafters. Obviously, I would expect Phil Bourque to address the crowd potentially. Like if anybody else is speaking, Mario's probably top on that list. I would imagine Phil Bourque becomes second because he is
just charismatic.
He's the reason this is happening.
That too. Yeah,
he's
you're
the
right.
reason he's the reason that Jagr had any inkling of an idea that Pittsburgh wasn't done with him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, you read it. I read it in his story or his book, which is phenomenal. I suggest you read it if you loved those 1990s teams or if you just want to know more about those 1990s teams. But he put it in that book. It's been talked about he went on 32 Thoughts, the podcast, and said it a couple of years ago what happened. It was written in one of the stories earlier this week from The Athletic. Phil Bourque was instrumental in starting the wheels in motion towards what we're going to see on Sunday. So he's certainly going to be on the ice, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the opportunity to speak. Again, we don't know who is going to all speak. Maybe it's just Jagr. Maybe it's just Steige and Jagr. But if there's other people speaking, I think Mario would probably be top on that list and Borky would be second.
Yeah, you have to figure that it's going to be a long ceremony, it feels like, right? I mean,
the game starts at 6. If you're told to be encouraged to be in your seats by 4:15, I'm assuming it starts at 4:30. That's going to be at least a 40-minute ceremony, something like that, at least a half hour.
You could push it to an hour probably, depending on how quick the turnover can be, because you're not really expecting current players to be involved in any sort of way.
They're going to be on the ice.
Maybe Crosby, Malkin, Letang come out to sort of be there.
No, I think the players are all supposed to be on the ice.
Oh, they are. All right. I don't know how this goes. I don't know how any of this goes. So ignore me then. But it's going to be fascinating. I'm excited for every single second of it. I'll be spending my day downtown. That's for sure.
Yeah. Another player that I would assume is going to be there is Yuri Hrdina.
I was going to say the Hrdinas are a good choice.
Yeah.
Both of them, I would say. And I had another name that I cannot remember now. I mentioned to you Paul Coffey, but I feel like that one's kind of out of the realm of possibility just because of how little they played. I just remember because I wrote it down and I checked my notes. I may or may not have heard through the grapevine of a certain former coach from that time period. I'll leave it at that.
Well, okay. Certainly, Brian Trottier was an assistant coach in that time period.
That's a good point.
So maybe that's who you're talking about. No, obviously there's going to be a couple surprises. We know our guy Jaden Becker is going to have a couple surprises for the in-game stuff. A lot of fun for Celebrate 68 weekend. I'm excited to be in the building. First time I'll be back this entire season. So I'm excited to be there. If you see me, say hi, say what's up. I'm excited to see the game. And obviously the last time the Penguins and the Kings, faced, it was a very entertaining game at Staples Center. It was a very, very entertaining overtime game. I'm not calling it the other thing. I'm not calling it the other thing. But it was a very entertaining game. 4-3. Penguins win it in overtime. Brian Rust scores 2. Not just twice, but Brian Rust scores 2 overtime winners for the Penguins in just one. It was a very entertaining game the whole way through. So I'm excited. Oh, wow. The Columbus Blue Jackets just fired their general manager. How about that? Live on air. But no.
Why can't the Penguins do things like this?
I mean, we got the Jeff Carter trade before, I think. That happened? Oh, no, we jumped on after that happened.
No, we had already planned a live event or a live thing with the network. I forget who we were talking with. I think it was Doug Gladkey. And then we brought Jordy Cunningham on to talk after it happened. Yeah, we were just discussing the trade deadline.
Yeah. So it happened once. We can't be that upset. But, again, bringing it back, that was the trade between the Pens and the Kings. And the Kings taking on each other later this weekend. It's going to be a fun night. It's going to be a celebratory night. And hopefully the Penguins at the very least can win that one. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Tip of the Iceberg. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you next time.